Those things really are stressful for the body. They create this stress. They create the cortisol response.
There are certain foods that actually cause stress in the body, independent of your thoughts. And there are certain foods that reduce stress in the body, independent of what you're thinking, right?
Yes.
So it actually, food can be a stressor or a relaxer depending on what you're eating. Can you talk about the foods that tend to cause more cortisol, adrenaline, and stress in the body, and then some of the foods that we would be thinking about that might help reduce that?
That's such a great point. If we eat a donut and with coffee and sugar, I'm going to an extreme here, for breakfast.
That's not that extreme. It's probably the breakfast of most Americans. Dunkin' Donuts
is really
coffee.
stressful on the body, right?
Why?
Or because it causes this spike in our blood sugar, because it gets digested and absorbed really quickly. Our blood sugar goes up quickly, and the body goes, "Oh no!" Right? It gets stressful. For the body produces a bunch of insulin to help lower it. And then what happens is the blood sugar drops afterwards. And so those ups and downs in blood sugar like that are really stressful for the body. And if
your blood sugar is dropping, it's a life-threatening emergency. You got to go get food.
Right. So those, if you're eating a lot of foods that cause your blood sugar to go up and then drop, with those easily to digest and absorb, you have a can of soda. I mean, those things really are stressful for the body. They create this stress. They create the cortisol response. It's one of the reasons we get a lot of weight gain around the belly when we eat those kind of foods, because they are stressful for the body. And so instead, we want to be really balancing our blood sugar. And
before you get into how to fix it, I just want to point out this study that was just so mind-blowing when I read it years ago by a friend of ours, Dr. David Ludwig from Harvard. And he took kids that were overweight and fed them 3 different breakfasts, right?
Yep.
Oatmeal, steel-cut oats, and an omelet. Same calories, but different carbohydrate, protein, different fat. What he found was that the kids who had the regular oatmeal, like the quickly absorbed oatmeal, we think oatmeal is healthy, right? It's not like they're having a donut.
Right.
Their insulin went up, obviously their blood sugar went up, but their cortisol went up, their adrenaline went up.
Yep.
So the body perceived it as a stress.
Yes.
Whereas the kids who ate the omelet didn't happen.
Yes.
And then the kids who ate the oatmeal were hungrier, wanted more food. So we know that starch and sugar create a biological stress response in the body. And that's bad. In addition to the fact that the sugar causes a problem, your brain chemistry and your neurotransmitters are talking to your fat cells. And they're telling them when they're under stress to store more fat. So literally stress makes you gain weight independent of what you're eating. So it's fascinating when you look at weight and other issues. It's so connected.
It's so connected. It's fascinating. So really balancing blood sugar is so powerful. It's, people, sometimes we say these things again and again, like, balance your blood sugar, have a good source of protein, healthy fat and fiber at each meal. And sometimes we say it so much that I wonder, people just, it's the same thing. They're just saying eat healthy. But it's really critical to have a good source of protein, healthy fat, and great source of fiber at every meal, because it is not allowing for that stress response to happen in the body. It's nourishing the body, and that's exactly what the body needs. So
yeah, and so I think using food and having the right quality fats, low glycemic diet, lots of fiber, phytochemicals, these are all messenger molecules that help reduce the stress in the body.
Yes. So, so we always start with food first, and this is a great place to start in this area, really working to balance the blood sugar, preventing those spikes in blood sugar, preventing that stress.
Yeah.
We often work to pull people off of caffeine for a period of time. If they're in that state where they're really anxious, they don't need the caffeine. If they're in that state where they're burnt out and exhausted, they might feel like they need the caffeine, but that's actually, a little bit of a stress for their body. And so when the adrenal glands or the whole HPA axis isn't able to handle that stress at this point in time, you don't want to add to it. So we often will pull people away from caffeine, or really lower their levels, or keep it to a little bit of green tea and just not excessive amounts.
How about alcohol? Is that going to relax you? Or is it going to cause a problem?
I mean, so, it's really with alcohol, it's all about moderation, right? It's really all about moderation. We know that too much alcohol is going to wake us up in the middle of the night. We know that when it wears off, it's alcohol is a depressant. When it wears off, we get that rebound stimulating effect. We really need to be working on sleep during this period of time, well, all the time. But we need to get good restful sleep. So we just have to watch the amount. I mean, that's really, really important. And so for some of our patients, we take them off of most of the alcohol for a period of time. And, it also wears down your B vitamins. And B vitamins are really important for
when you drink, you deplete your B vitamins. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And B vitamins are critical for the functioning of our adrenal glands. So things that you might have been, people will say to me, well, I've always had 2 cups of coffee in the morning and it's been fine. Why can't I have 2 cups of coffee now in the morning? And when you get to that exhausted, burnt out stage, that's just too much for your body at this period of time. We just have to be a little more gentle.